Need to know.
Welcome in to Need to Know. You're with me, Daphne Lim, here on 938 Live, and it's 2015. And in the world of social media, what we're going to discuss today is probably already old news, but there's been a glaring spotlight that we cannot ignore. It's shone on the world of influencers over the past few weeks because of one expose post by the very popular blogger Wendy Cheng, better known as Xia Xue, and the company under her fire, Gush Cloud, which is also the rival agency of the one she's under, Nafnung. Now, it's going to be a wild ride today on Need to Know. I have Marcus Ho, social media marketing specialist from Social Metric, who has a real penchant for case studies and finding lessons we can learn from them. And aren't I nice to you, Marcus, for bringing you in to look at the hot case of the moment with the subjects of the case themselves. On the line with us is also Wendy Cheng. Yes, that's right, Wendy Cheng of Xia Xue, the blog, and Althea Lim, co-founder of Gush Cloud. Now, we don't really want to tease out today who is right and whose blog post was stronger and which facts are more accurate, because what I found really interesting about this whole exchange is the influencer industry itself. It is an industry. It is a business that cannot be ignored, and it relies very much on clients believing them to be right for their business and engaging them. So if you're running a business and you're planning your marketing strategy for 2015, should you engage an influencer, and what do you need to look out for? Welcome into Need to Know, and thank you so much for joining me, Marcus, Althea, as well as, of course, Wendy Cheng.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hi, guys.
So, Marcus, let's start with you. In the context of social media marketing today, how important really are influencers?
Well, I think firstly, as a long-term thing, business must be their own influencer. In other words, they have to build their own tribe, their own community. Look at some of the popular brands such as Apple and Nike. They definitely have their own tribe, their own community. But closer to home, there are also a couple of very strong brands which have their own tribe and their own community, such as Scoot, such as Charles and Keith, and so on. But a lot of businesses out there do not know where to start and build their own tribe and how to build their own community. So what they definitely need to do as one of the key things that they should start with is to reach out to influencers and engage with them. But that's more of I believe that's a short-term thing. Over time, of course, influencers will definitely help to boost the brand. I've seen over time, many small, mid-sized businesses with their products, they just became known all of a sudden, and that's because an influencer has really backed them up, and that grew from like less than $1 million per year business to like over $10 million per year business. And that is truly the power of influencers outreach.
So in the history of social media marketing, not that it's been very long, has this been a strategy that's been employed since the very beginning? Which came first? I
think both simultaneously at the same time. Maybe let's just look at one example of how Scoot has did it, right? So at first it started with a couple of their social media presences such as Facebook and all that. And after being on Facebook for a while, they started to engage influencers as well. Like for example, one very popular platform out there is AskGag. The popular community platform in Singapore that's very known for their witty humor and all that. And there was a very good fun back and forth banter between Scoot and AskGag. You know, some was like saying it's troll, some was saying it's funny, but overall it's great entertainment for everybody. And I believe the brand has also benefited in driving more ticket sales by engaging influencers.
Okay, so let's look at the case study at hand right now. The recent spat between our two other guests on Need to Know today, between Gush Cloud and Wendy Cheng. Of course, Althea Lim is here to represent Gush Cloud. Main things brought up during this exchange that businesses would be concerned with two things: ad masking and the interpretation of the stats or the metrics, right? What's being presented to them. So I'm going to turn the mic or phone over to you guys and let you give your take on these two areas. Let's start with you first, Wendy.
Okay, I guess, so I'll talk about ad masking first. I think it's definitely a no-no for me. So from the start, when I started, blogging, I thought about this and how to go about, putting up ads and reviews because people have been asking me. And I always thought that it was very dishonest, to say that it's to claim that, it's my personal opinion and not state that it's an ad. Actually, that it's not illegal in Singapore right now, but I've read that MDA will probably be coming out with stricter guidelines. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe in the excuse, the client wanted it, so we have no choice. Mm-hmm. Yes, you do have a choice, which is not to accept the client. And, of course, as a client, you will want to push your boundary and try to, make bloggers seem as if they really, truly love your product without being paid for it. But I think bloggers and agencies should work together to ensure that they can't do that. And in the past, I've actually had clients drop me before because I refused to take out the ad word. And, I think I lost, for one of the clients that I had in 2005, I lost $5,000 for it. Mm-hmm. And because they kept persuading me to put don't put the ad word, but I insisted and I just, didn't get the money. Yeah. But basically, I actually went to do a poll on my Facebook and to find out readers' opinions on this, because what are influencers without our readers, right? So actually 93% of them said that they do not agree that it's ethical to not put the ad word. And I think what is truly unethical is lying, completely lying, that you stumble upon the product or the service by yourself. I think there's totally no room for argument there. Anyone would agree that that's just flat out lying. So I would love to know Gush Cloud's opinion of that, because they haven't addressed that in their blog post.
Sure, let's speak to Althea about this. Your take, Althea.
Okay, so I think we were addressed about ad masking from an advertising social media agency point of view. So I think with regards to ad masking, I think the problem here is that the gray area happens in the forms of editorials and advertorials. And a written blog post or a written Instagram post is somewhat really like an advertised editorial. And there, unfortunately, like what exactly Wendy said, there are no strict guidelines that are drawn out by the authorities. However, what we do have is that we do have case examples whereby our influencers use words like sponsored post, like SP, or they actually put ad, or they even thank some of the clients for sending them products, or even say that they're part of an ambassadorship panel. I think the key question here that I also have for the team is that must there be a standard boilerplate template that has been used, or is it something that we can allow the influencers to make it to a point that it is very obvious to their readers that this is in collaboration with a brand? I mean, how the brand pays for the post sometimes is with money, sometimes it's with products. But I think one thing about influencers, especially on the social media phase, is that a lot of them only want to talk about specific products when they have either used it or it has kind of do work for them. But I think the problem here is that while one product might work for an influencer, it might not work for another influencer. And I think that's where the discernment from the audiences should come.
Now, I'm hearing a basic approach to being an influencer. That the discrepancy here is basically that the approach to being an influencer. And I'm going to deduce that, Wendy, because you are one of the pioneers, you really feel protective of the space, and you have your own standards and what you believe an influencer's role should be. Now, this sounds different from what Althea is saying. Is that fair too?
No, I absolutely agree with her. No, I do. I mean, there are certain ways to let it be known that it's actually a sponsored product or you're getting paid for it. And, people try to make it less in your face. And I agree that that's okay. You get what I mean? Because sometimes it's obvious. But what about the part where I said where the influencers are completely just lying? What about that? When you say, I found this product by myself. Is that acceptable? I don't think it is.
No, Thea, so she's saying
so I think that comes to a specific case example, which is one of our influencer. This whole case example was actually created by Wendy herself, whereby she created the SG Private Trainers, whereby we asked one of the influencers under us, called KK, to put up an ad banner at the bottom, and then got another influencer to say that she chanced upon that particular ad banner. But I think the point of the matter is that when we spoke with the latter, as in the other influencer who posted it up, if she has seen the ad, maybe she should not have put it word for word that she has stumbled upon. but she has looked at the ad. She has seen the website. She did
just
want
playing with words here.
I guess, okay, the situation here right now is a matter of individuals, what they wish to do as influencers, and if they're represented by an agency, what kind of control should that agency have over what they say, and does this even matter to the clients who are hiring them, who are engaging them? We'll come back to talk some more on Need to Know with my very special guests. Want to talk to you, Marcus, and what you think of what's of the exchange so far. Coming back on Need to Know in just a moment with me, Daphne Lim.
Need to know.
Back on Need to Know with me, Daphne Lim. Now, Marcus, I'm gonna switch on your mic finally and let you have a say on what's been discussed here on Need to Know, which is influencers. Should your business engage them? What we were talking about in the last segment was really the choice of words, how influencers want to present the product they're advertising, and should the agencies actually step in to have a say? Your take on this, especially from the client's point of view.
Right. Firstly, I think yes, as what both Althea and Wendy have mentioned, MDA and the laws right now, it doesn't say specifically that influencers must say whatever that they're promoting is an ad, right? However, there must be some form of guidelines, of course, in between. Definitely, I see both sides of the debate over here. Of course, you don't want to write a blog post that is like specifically like an ad. That completely doesn't make sense. On the other hand, also, I think what is important is if the blogger has been sponsored, ethically it should also be made known to the public, their readers, that hey, this is a sponsored post, right? Which is also what I believe both all influencer networks out there are encouraging as well. So definitely from a client's business perspective, one of the things that they should be most concerned about for sure is whether or not engaging influencers will help me to drive sales. And that doesn't really boil down so much into whether you're saying this is a sponsored post or not. That boils down to how much authority does that influencer have over this product. I've seen other bloggers promoting, like case in point was when the Singapore Police Force engaged 3 lifestyle bloggers in Singapore to promote one of their recruitment campaigns. Of course, those 3 lifestyle bloggers have said specifically that they were engaged for that project. But what I feel should have been done on Singapore Police Force part for this recruitment campaign is that they should have at least engaged more relevant bloggers out there, which is one of the key things that they should be looking at. Not so much whether it's saying it's an ad or not, but rather more of an authority. Because if that particular influencer has true authority over this particular niche or industry, this is where they can command true influence and true behavior, that this will drive consumer behavior rather than just pure awareness.
That just points to me like a misguided marketing strategy, right? They just picked the wrong people. I guess what we're looking at here is, has this industry evolved to a point where it's okay for somebody to just outright use their name, as a brand, not necessarily as their person, and say, I stumbled upon a product when actually it was given to me. Has it evolved so far that people are completely accepting of the fact that somebody is going to directly sell me a product and going to mask it as something that they just found?
Definitely, when there's a lot of things on the internet that, whether it's true or half truth to it, there's a lot of debate about that. But when the market finds out, like us as consumers find out that the blogger has actually been lying, then this is where it's not right. This is where even the brand gets affected as well, along with the influencer. Because
that's the nature of an influencer still.
Exactly. In the first place, why do we follow bloggers? Is because we believe their point of view. We can relate to their point of view because these bloggers are, in a way, we feel like them. right? That's why girls love to read beauty blogs, because they believe that these are normal girls like you and I. They're not like superstars out there with like extraordinary skin and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is why the trust is very important in the very first place, which is necessary. To answer your question, it's necessary for them to review it. This is a sponsored post, this is not, and so on.
Okay, let's move the conversation on to the interpretation of stats, which was another big point, sticking point between the in the exchange between Wendy and Gush Cloud. Maybe Althea will get your point of view on this.
So I think with regards to the interpretation of metrics and stacks, on our end, we continue to provide our clients with Google Analytics. We do use Bitly tracking as well. Sometimes they might not be as accurate, and that's why we always point our clients back to Google Analytics. Our future actions was to also create a technology platform whereby clients could also log in to see how their campaign is doing in terms of the metrics that they're using, in terms of engagement, of awareness. At the same time, we've also started to talk to big metrics partners like Social Bakers to see if we could implement that as a tool. I think one of the most important part of this particular how this incident came about was because the click tracker that Wendy put on one of our Gush Cloud influencers blogs stated that the numbers were very low comparatively to her Google Analytics. So what we did was we actually spoke to a couple of programmers on this, and this was what was told to us by them. So firstly, the time frame was only a month. That's not enough time to give full data, or from previous experiences, there are also down months as well. Secondly, there are all sorts of reasons why the code could be inaccurate, like, for example, where the code is placed, how often it fires an avid impression, whether it shows only to specific geographical locations. If, for example, a user were to skim past an ad without the code loading in time, it misses the code view count as well. So there are multiple reasons why actually a tracking code might not be as reliable as what we think it is. And that's why we always choose to point our clients back to Google Analytics, because we think that with regards to that, it cuts through all forms of standards.
Wendy, I want to hear from you now.
Okay, so firstly, I'll address the point where she said my tracking code is inaccurate, but my tracking code is actually just Google Analytics, nothing else. Okay, and another thing is the group chat of the Gush Cloud WhatsApp chat has leaked out, and in the chat, actually, KK was caught saying that, when she blogged about the saga, she actually got 39,000 hits on her blog. And when I look at my code, okay, and I check the amount, it's actually 37,000 plus. So I think the disparity isn't high. It seems like it's almost the same. So I don't see why my code is wrong. I think my code is right. Okay, and secondly, what Gush Cloud is saying is that it's totally fine to tell clients completely outdated stats from 2013, where blogging was a lot more popular, and now in 2014, people have gone to social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook, and they no longer read blogs as much. So if you get clients your stats, in the example of KK stats, it was 137,000 in 2013, and they sold her stats as 200,000 in 2014. So I think that is completely inaccurate. As a client, of course, you will, accept that stats numbers will fluctuate a little, but to have a huge disparity, kind of like gross inflation, that's tantamount to cheating the client for me. Looking at, Gush Cloud's decks, I can see that they updated their Instagram, their Twitter numbers. So why is it that they cannot update their Google Analytics numbers right before they sell the ad to the client?
I want to hear from Marcus Ho when we come back on Need to Know on why these disparities might actually exist. We'll come back on Need to Know right after headline news.
Need to know.
Back on Need to Know with me, Daphne Lim, here on 938 Live. Influencers, should your business engage them, especially since this spat between Gush Cloud and Wendy Cheng has surfaced, and it seems a lot of things might be completely in grey areas. Now, we left off talking about numbers, the stats, the metrics, how you interpret them. And I cut Wendy off earlier on when she was making a case for the numbers that she was using in her expose. Wendy, do you want to just finish off that thought for us?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I think it's it's very, very irresponsible to the clients to give outdated stats, and I think that is a clever way of cheating in that sense, and making an excuse for it and say, once upon a time I was so popular, so now I'm going to demand that you pay me this kind of money. And if you can update your Instagram stats, your Twitter stats according to what is the most recent number, then I don't believe you cannot update your Google Analytics. And as a result, right, if clients find out that the hits, okay, look, if I'm going to buy a banner ad from you and you tell me, look, I'm going to get 10,000 hits on that banner ad in a month, and if I don't get it, I believe that the client should be entitled to at least a partial refund.
Thank you for that. Just a reminder, once again, we are joined on the line by Wendy Cheng of the very popular blog site Xiaxue, as well as Althea Lim, co-founder of Gush Cloud, and of course Marcus Ho from Social Metric. Marcus, let's go to you. We've heard of these different ways of interpreting statistics, where they come from, periods of time for which they are harnessed. What should companies actually look out for? Which are important?
I think that's a very good question, Daphne. So I have no comment on the debate so far. I think Althea and Wendy both have their point of view. But I think what businesses should be looking at are also beyond just traffic numbers, fan followers, and all those. What they truly should be looking at is also authority through cloud, and there are certain ways that they should look at specifically. So beyond just stat numbers, fan followers, they should also be looking at within the blog posts, right? How many comments are there? And also, does the blogger respond to the comments? Because, yes, I mean, traffic numbers and all that can be faked in a way. You just want to buy, you can buy traffic and all those, and then this will just boost your readership by a lot. Anybody can do that. But what businesses should be looking at specifically is number of comments, and also how does the blogger respond to the comment. And this can be done within the influencer's own media, which is their blog. This can also be done on their own Facebook page, right? I can have 50,000 fans and I can post content out there. But if nobody is commenting and sharing my content, does it mean that are these my real followers? Right, that's one thing to consider as well. So who's commenting and who's the target market? Second thing they should also be looking at is beyond just comments and all those. Just by looking at this one particular influencer, who has this influencer supported? Right, like say in a beauty industry, that this beauty blogger could support product A, and then if you are representing product B, which is totally the opposite of product A, you don't want to go to this same influencer who has already supported product A. There are so many instances of like this happening regionally when brands engage bloggers. They just go to some bloggers that they think are popular, and then they just go out there and find influencers like that.
But these are very subjective judgments to make. I mean, when you're choosing an influencer to come on board your whole marketing plan, I think what the girls are saying is very important. I think the numbers are going to matter to a big corporation who has to put together a whole report on why they would rather choose this company or this blogger over somebody else and pay them XX amount to actually sell the product. So these numbers and the stats that we're looking at, is there nothing we can grasp from there and hold as important to the decision?
I would say it's one of the few things that they must look at. I'm not discounting the importance of looking traffic stats and followers, but I would also suggest and strongly encourage looking and interacting with many executive management of companies out there. They just tend to look at only the numbers, pure numbers, but they should looking beyond just quantity, but quality as well. For example, like there is this one particular airline company that engaged, I think, quite a number of bloggers for one of their promotion trips to Bali, and amongst all the bloggers and influencers they engaged, only one of them have actually drove sales. The rest of them didn't drive sales at all. Right, and we could argue like this other blogger has maybe 50,000 viewers or 100,000 viewers a month, but the other small blogger who's actually driving sales has much less. But these this small blogger is actually the one that drove real results for the client. And I think that is also the things which most businesses don't tend to consider. Yes, traffic numbers and all those they consider, and I definitely think these are important, but they should also consider the other stuff, the qualitative stuff, like comments, shares, and true authority and true clout.
So let's go to you, Wendy. When you're talking to potential clients, do you also look at other areas other than stats?
I think clients definitely do, look at other areas. And I think as a person who, has been in the industry for a very long time and blogging for a very long time, I think that counts as well. The longevity of how much people trust you, things like that. So of course, for me personally, because I tend to be more controversial, that tends to be like a thing that clients consider as well, whether they want to be associated. Yeah. But I think what's really interesting is what Marcus was saying just now about the smaller bloggers. I would like to know how you know that whether a particular person has drove the sales. Because, if it's a sales, it's for airline tickets, how do you know which is the influencer that actually did it?
Marcus.
Yeah, there are a few ways to track success, right? One would be, of course, through this free tool called Google Analytics, you yourself and Althea have mentioned before. So for those listening on this call who is not aware of Google Analytics, it's a free tool by Google that allows you to track your viewerships and all those. So one of the tools within Google Analytics is that you can track the number of viewers from this blog, right, this particular blogger, to your landing page or your microsite for a particular promotion, right? You can track that. That's one way. The other way would, of course, if depends on what you're promoting, really. If you're promoting maybe product A through influencers, then you want to first measure, prior to leveraging on the influencers, what are my total sales per month? Right. Then now that I'm engaging all these influencers, I spend this additional budget, like maybe $10,000 to engage a pool of influencers. Has product A actually drove more sales, like maybe 10% more, 20% more? So that's the second way. Of course, there are many other different ways for different types of businesses to measure social media ROI, and we could speak more on that also.
Althea, Wendy, any questions on that, on what Marcus has just said?
No, I think Marcus has brought up a very valid point. I think that when we speak with clients, even from our perspective, we always ask them what is important to them. Is awareness important? Is engagement important? Or is it cost of sale that's most important? And of course, all clients will tell you that everything is important. But what we do is we try to encourage them to tell us what their primary objectives and then their secondary objectives of the campaigns are. Because when those happen to come into play, then what we can then do would be to curate the influencers carefully to their needs so that the campaign actually achieves exactly what the brand would need, and the influencer would be quite a good investment in that sense.
There's nothing I like more or need to know than a live case study with the subjects in the discussion with us as well. This is fantastic. We're going to come back for a last segment of Need to Know here with me, Daphne Lim, just to talk some more about influencers and should your business engage them. Back on Need to Know in just a moment.
Need to Know.
You're back on Need to Know with me, Daphne Lim, having a really, really nice and very substantial discussion here about the influencer industry with Wendy Cheng, of course, known for her Xiaoshare blog, Althea Lim, co-founder of Gush Cloud, as well as Marcus Ho, a social media marketing specialist from Social Metric. Now, you guys might have a lot of questions and might want to make up your own mind about some of the arguments raised during this episode of Need to Know. If you haven't caught up with the exchange between Wendy and Gush Cloud yet, you can of course go to Xiaoshare's blog or visit Gush Cloud's website. All the posts will be there and the relevant links will be there for you as well. Now, this ongoing exchange is fascinating to me because it's not just the reputation of companies and individuals at stake. It could also be the whole industry of influencing that's under scrutiny. Now, I'm wondering, I'm even just toying with the idea, is this the start of a natural death for the whole industry? I mean, Marcus, what are the implications here from this particular exchange?
I think overall, there has been some debate going on, but there are true value, and there is a true value in engaging influencers. I don't think this is anything bad for the industry. Although there's, of course, like good points of discussion between both parties. But overall, what I feel is very important for businesses is that ultimately influencers is just one channel of communication to build their own community. Of course, there are many other channels which they must consider as well. One is, of course, being on traditional media. One is, of course, having their own media, such as their own blog, their own publication, and stuff like this. So, yes, there's good and bad points that came out of this whole incident as a whole. But what I think, to point back to the big picture over here, businesses must not just see this as like one silo, but rather one of the puzzles that they must solve overall for their entire communication and marketing strategy out there.
I like that, a puzzle to solve. So, Althea, have clients come to you with concerns that this puzzle is just too complicated for them? Any expressing pull out of this platform completely, preferring to put their money in, more traditional platforms?
So the unfortunate case is that, yes, some of the more high-profile clients who have been spending for the last year with us or even with Nafneng have decided to actually put influencer on hold till maybe quarter 2 or quarter 3 of this year. And that's really an unfortunate case. We think that something like that had, to be honest, blown out of proportion, has actually dampened the entire industry as a whole. But I guess the good news is that the majority of our clients, and I believe even on Nafneng's side, would still be working with us. They're definitely cautious. They have asked us for more reports, more transparency on numbers, which we have provided. So we have started giving them access to Google Analytics. As mentioned in the earlier conversation, we're actually building a technology platform for them to be able to log in, for them to be able to see the metrics that their campaign has been measured by. But with that regard, I think it is the industry's duty, anyone or any company within the influencer marketing industry, I think it is our duty to be transparent with our numbers, our statistics, and what Wendy said was right, that we must update them more regularly.
Wendy, to the contrary, in one of your most recent posts, you mentioned that you've actually had more ad interest since this exchange with Gush Cloud. I mean, in your experience, do these kind of controversies only feed your career positively?
Okay, first I would like to address the thing about Althea saying that, Nafneng has had less sales or kind of pulling out. I have asked them and they said that it didn't happen, so I don't know if there's any truth to what she said, but definitely, personally for myself, none of my clients have pulled out. And in fact, I think they're actually happy about this going on because, like what she said, they can now be a little bit more clear about what are the correct numbers to look at and stuff like that. But in answer to your question about more ad interest, no, I don't believe that, having controversies will always influence, like your career positively. So, like, just to name an example, I'm not sure if you guys know the blogger named Zoe Raymond. Maybe Marcus will know. So basically, there was she was kind of on the rise. She was quite popular, very clean image, very sunshine girl kind of image, and she was doing a lot of ads for blog shops. And there was one day where suddenly, she was another girl who's not even a blogger, just accused her of being a third party to a couple who was, the girl is the part of the couple, and they were about to get married. So this thing became really controversial, and it impacted her really badly because I believe a lot of clients actually dropped her after that. And till today, it's been years, and people still remember her for the incident and remember her as, like a third party. And occasionally, if you go and look at her Instagram, she still receives hate comments for it. So
Goodness, this
definitely
industry
not
sounds so
for today,
scary.
Yes.
It's incredibly scary. I'm so glad I only have 150 followers on my Facebook page and I bought 140 of them. The other 10 are family and friends. Okay, so Marcus, let's look at this incident then. I mean, this
Yep.
exchange between the two other guests on our show. Will this become a defining case study for the direction of the influencer industry? The way Wendy was describing that case was for that girl.
I think one thing that came out of let's just talk about the as a incident first. One thing that came out is businesses and the public out there are more educated about everything. As what Althea and Wendy have mentioned, people have started asking for more stats, more numbers, more transparency, and I think they also started asking better questions, which I think it's a good move for the whole industry as a whole. As to regards to the other blogger, no comments on that really. Things happen, and I guess we'll just move on from there.
You guys, your take on whether this situation that's happening right now, that you guys are part of right now, is going to actually influence the way the industry works. First from you, Wendy.
Influence the way the industry works. Yes, definitely. I think now, clients will get demand for more proof of the authenticity of the numbers before agreeing to a campaign, and that after a campaign they will demand for more detailed reports and stuff like that. Yeah. And I believe that now clients probably know that, the readers do not like it when they are being taken for a fool and, it's like pretending to be an ad. So I hope that clients now don't want to be a part of that as well.
Althea,
Stop asking me, to mask their ads for them because it's really irritating.
Althea, your response.
I think that I agree with Marcus that there is a lot of work that after this whole incident that all parties need to now play, preparing reports, coming out with more numbers, having more face time with clients. But but whether or not, from Gush Club's perspective, whether or not this will become a defining case study, we think that the direction of how influencer marketing works in Singapore will keep evolving. I think that this will just be one of many instances to come because this is a very young industry. But we also hope that if there were to be something like that to happen again in the nearer future, it would be more constructive, and it would be to help the industry grow in totality rather than to dampen the spirits of the industry. But should this industry be self-regulatory, as there was a comment put out by MDA that they hope that this industry also helps to put in self-regulatory guidelines. We also do hope to even work with fellow industry partners like Social Metrics or even some of the advertising associations or even some of the people who have done influencer marketing, maybe not in Singapore but even on a global stage. We hope that we could possibly come together, maybe put a panel together, or even to create a guideline that is respected by all.
Wendy, what do you think of that?
I think it sounds good, I guess.
Marcus?
Yeah.
Yeah, as agreed with Althea and Wendy, overall, as a whole, businesses are starting to ask better questions and things like this, and it's a good move. Overall, as an industry, we should be making love to the world and bring real value to people out there.
All right, the social media world is making love to the world right now, and we have all sorts of happy, shiny people here on Need to Know today. Thank you so much to all my guests: Wendy Cheng of Xiaxue fame and blog, Althea Lim, co-founder of Gush Cloud, as well as Marcus Ho, social media marketing specialist from Social Metric. This has been Need to Know. Thank you guys once again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I'm Daphne Lim. Thank you, and till next week.